Today I want to talk to you about something that's very personal and very important to me. And really the theme of what I'm going to share is that one person can really make a difference. When I was a teenager, I went to high school in Racine. Racine is a city in Wisconsin that's by the southeast corner of the state. It's right on the lake. And I went to Horlick High School, and at Horlick, our mascot was a short, squatty Confederate officer. Confederate officer was a Southern officer during the Civil War. And our flag was the Confederate flag. And when I was a sophomore and was a football player, I would look down at my uniform and I would see the Confederate flag on the sleeves. And during the time that I was a teenager, Martin Luther King was doing marches, and on the news there would be pictures of people protesting to get their civil rights, and people in the South who'd release attack dogs on them and other things like that. And the one thing that was common was wherever the protests happened, the Confederate flag was flying. So the Confederate flag was a symbol of hatred, and yet at my high school it was our school flag. So as a sophomore, I made the decision that I was going to get rid of the school flag and see it changed. When I was a sophomore, we were talking before about how you start at the bottom. I was at the bottom. I wasn't well known. I wasn't really popular. I was just, a sophomore. But then by the time that I was a senior, because I was involved in music and I was involved in other things, people knew me pretty well, and I was involved in football and in track. So I figured it was the time to institute my plan and to change the flag. So I went to the principal and I told him how much I hated the Confederate flag. I hated it because I had watched on the news and saw the Ku Klux Klan march with the Confederate flag. I had seen people that hated black people flying the Confederate flag. So I told him that it was unacceptable to me that that would be the school flag. So we talked about a plan. And the plan was that we would find the students who were the most artistic, and they would design a brand new flag for us. And we would hold an art contest for it. The one thing that he also stated that I wasn't crazy about was they could choose any of the new flags, but they could also choose to keep the old flag, which just seemed strange to me. So we had our contest, and I put a lot of work into that. I got a lot of the art students to design really beautiful school flags. Well, we had the vote, and I lost. The students overwhelmingly chose the old flag, which was the Confederate flag. I was so angry that, you know how when you have a high school yearbook and you have your picture in it, I told them I'm not having my picture in the yearbook. And so to this day, there is no picture of me in my high school yearbook. But the story has a good ending. A few years later, I came home from college for a basketball game. I went into the field house, and I dreaded looking up on the wall because I knew that that flag was going to be up on the wall. So I sat there, and then I turned slowly, and I almost fell out of the bleachers because as I looked up, it was a brand new flag. The principal, who became my boss a few years later, told me the rest of the story, that he had decided a few years after I graduated, he had agreed with me that it was unacceptable to have the Confederate flag as our school flag, and he had kept the designs from the art contest, and he just chose one of the designs and made it into the school flag. Now, I've told you this story because one person, no matter how small you think you are, no matter how insignificant you think you are, one person can make a difference. By the way, a year or so ago, I was chosen as a distinguished alumni of my high school, and a picture of me and a plaque hangs up on the wall of that high school. So the story really turned out well. you can make a difference. So I'd encourage all of you, find something that's worth fighting for and make a difference.